That's John McCarthy again. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the heel side of things now, and how our rubber products and our Dally wraps basically affect a heel run. Three things. They're going to be the same three things I talked about in heeling, the same three things I talked about in heading. One is going to be safety, two is going to be savings on ropes, and three is going to be earning more money in the arena itself in competition. So the first of those, like if you've already watched the head side of this, you understand first and foremost to me is safety. And so we'll talk about that first. At the 2011 USTRC finals, we had several people that we just happened to see walk by where we were set up with damaged hands. When I say damaged hands, I mean one guy's pinky was gone, one guy's pinky swinging by a piece of skin. I got a picture of another guy that at the roping had cut off all of his fingers. Some really wicked hand injuries. And the one guy, I mean, I asked his buddy, and they said no, he had brand new, full, solid horn of good tube rubber and good rope, everything else. So he had everything he could do going in his favor with the elements that he had, tube rubber and rope and everything else. But he literally cut almost every one of his fingers completely off. So when we talk about safety, one of the things that makes our product more safe, obviously, is this newer blend of wraps that we have out for 2012. They're much softer, much more grabby. There's been times where I know I would never have gotten my wrap on anything else, that I've come around the back of the horn and just thinking I'm having to really push it for a steer leaving me, and all of a sudden the pressure in my hand's gone, I pull back and it's just disappeared. And anybody who's been by our booth and seen our big Dally Buster machine and actually had to crank back that giant weight and then hold the rope as that weight was dropped and feel what it feels like to hold a rope as a huge weight hits our saddle horns, they make the funniest faces. They just can't not believe how deep that rope sets and grabs on the heel side on this new compound. So if you're somebody who's watching this video who used one of our old style wraps, and maybe it was a okay fit, or maybe it didn't fit you, I'll tell you this, these new style wraps are phenomenal and they'll blow your mind. They're just really, really awesome grabby wraps. And so this lip right here that seals the base of the horn is going to keep the heel rope from ever cutting down underneath. And as you wear this out, you can adjust this higher, lower, flip your wrap over, things like that to make it last longer. But the bottom line is when this total area of the Dally wrap is destroyed, you want to go ahead and take it off, put a new one on, and rebuild your saddle horn. This thing will have saved you plenty in ropes, which we'll talk about in a second, so there's no reason to try to make it last longer than you should. But again, keeping your rope up on top of the rubber is just the safest place it can be. And that's one of the reasons it makes this so much safer than band rubber or strips of rubber. When a rope sucks underneath and takes off running, and you've got your hand right back here, you don't have anywhere to go. That rope sucks underneath, and it usually will just take a pinky, burn your hand, burn all three fingers, whatever it might be. But if it takes a coil and sucks it down on top and takes your thumb off too, I mean, you don't have a chance to undally in those situations. It happens so fast. And so we definitely feel that with being able to keep your rope up on top of the rubber, you got a better chance of keeping all your fingers and burning your hand less. And anybody who's ever heeled knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say when you go out there and halfway through the rope and you burn the crap out of your hand. And after you've burned your hand, I mean, you can pop the blisters, you can tape it up, you can do whatever you want. But cranking on that heel rope is not as easy, and you can't feel the tip like you would have. I mean, it's painful to crank on it. And so it's pretty sad to say that just because somebody might have been too cheap to invest in their saddle horn, they burn their hand, and it takes them out of a rope, and their entry fees probably are hundreds of dollars, and the pot in the rope is probably thousands of dollars. And they'd be willing to sacrifice all that versus spending a little money right here at the horn and have that happen maybe never again, or a whole lot less than it's ever happened before in their roping career. And that right there alone, the safety factor in it not burning up your hand is going to affect the last thing I'll talk about in a minute, which is going to be your earnings. So anyways, the product grabs better than tube rubber. We've proven it scientifically. Different types of tube rubber, different types of band on our Dally Buster machine. It just grabs phenomenal, this new generation of rubber. Keeps your rope up on top. So when it comes to safety, it's just going to be a better overall choice when it comes to the type of product you put on your saddle horn. Second place I want to talk about for a heeler, why they should be using this product, is going to be on the savings of your ropes and the value of this because of the savings on your ropes. Any heeler who tells me that he gets rubber for free and free is better, I would tell him this. I'll tell them that they will never have to buy another heel rope as long as they rope. I will give them all of my worn out heel ropes for free, but they have to go compete on them. And that's the kind of the kicker. None of us would take a worn out heel rope and go into a big money roping and compete on it. None of us. But we'll put something free on our saddle horn because free's better. And when you think about riding a $10,000 horse, $3,000 saddle, you've got bits, bridles, boots, girths, vet care, farrier expenses, rope fees, entry fees, fuel, trucks, trailers, hay, everything that goes into team roping. And if you invest everywhere and got your horse taken care of, your outfitted well, and then you just want to find whatever's free for the one thing that ties every one of your talents, your practice time, your rope to that high dollar horse, saddle, and saddle horn that's going to make you the money, that just doesn't seem like the forward way of thinking when it comes to the competitor, to try to get by with whatever's free. So anyways, we talk about the value of this. The rope savings alone are going to pay for your Dally wraps. You will, if you mark my words, you keep track of it, you will never have to pay for our product if you're coming off of a tube rubber. And so when you look at the difference in the crowns of a rope, and you look what tube rubber does to a rope, and then you look what our ropes look like when we finish using them, it should speak without another word being needed. You look at crowns that are completely filled, and you look at a rope that's completely clean, still biting, everything else, but it's maybe getting worn out down where it comes tight. That right there, to me, on average, is probably $120 back in my pocket. On tube rubber, when I used to rope on it, I'd probably go to a small jackpot, maybe a round robin, and I'd go through a minimum of one heel rope, if not start into a second one at that little jackpot. 25 head, jerk them to the ground, and that rope's pretty much toast. Not the end of it, but the area where I dally is just burnt up, cake full of rubber, and kinked, won't lay flat anymore. And it's almost like I was brainwashed as a heeler, and I'm sure the rope companies love me because literally I'd just crack out another heel rope, just like brushing my teeth. Like it was just nothing. It's worn out, I got to get another one. Oh, it's worn out, I got to get another one. It's just part of healing. It's always been part of healing. So when I tell you that you can go out there and jerk down 20, 25 head, and your rope's going to look like it did when you started, almost brand new, that there alone has saved you already one heel rope, just your first 20 steers. And so you rope 20 head, the Dally wrap's now completely free. Saved you $40 rope, $40 Dally wrap, you're good to go. Now the next time you rope 20 head, that's essentially putting the value of a rope into your pocket. I've got guys that are steadily getting 60 to 90 hard hits on a heel rope day in and day out. Before our product, I had never in my life been able to rope 60 or 90 steers on tube rubber, ever. Not a day in my life would I get that many out of a heel rope, never. You take that many hard jerks and your rope would be so trash, you'd probably have your hand cut off by 90 steers. So on the value of it, if it's basically going to save you 2 to 3 heel ropes every single Dally wrap, and that makes it pretty much a no-brainer in my mind. I'll have guys that'll ask me the question, how many steers will you say it'll last you? And I don't ever really try to answer that with the specific number because there's way too many variables. I mean, different cattle, different horses, different setups, ground condition, just a lot of things that change how hard a saddle horn gets hit. However, I can quantify it that by the time you've worn this thing out, it will have saved you 2 to 3 to 4 heel ropes. So basically, to sum this up, if you're a heeler and you're trying to talk yourself into whether you should spend money on a Dally wrap or not, I'd tell you to seriously think about every time you crack open a $40 rope and how long it lasts you, and you're going to crack open another $40 rope and how long it lasts you, and you think about putting this wrap on right here and it saving you 2 to 3 to 4 heel ropes. I don't know what else I can say to you that would make more sense than the fact that it's going to put money in your pocket when you switch from tube rubber to this. So enough said about that. I want to talk about the third area. We've already talked about the safety of the Dally wrap materials. We've talked about how it saves on ropes, and I want to talk now about how it increases winnings in the jackpot arena. Everybody knows that team roping has gotten super competitive. When you've got 500 teams that show up, you know that the top 10 holes are going to be split by fractions of a second. And so when we're talking about keeping your, again, the safety of keeping your rope up on top of the rubber, the savings of it not burning or sliding on this rubber like tube rubber, it's all going to add up to, obviously, it's going to put you quicker when it comes to stopping the clock. Flagmen today, typically what they'll do is they're going to look for the head catch, then they're going to look for the heel catch, then they're going to look for the heeler's dally and control, and then after they see the heeler get a dally and have control, they're going to look for the face. So if you're bumbling your dally, trying to pinch it off, and you're trying to keep getting around your horn with that running rope on tube rubber, until you get it pinched off, they're not going to look to the header and give you a flag. So you go to a roping, and just think about this the next time you're sitting in a jackpot pen. Just listen every time the heeler dallies. When you hear that bzzz, bzzz, that we all have heard 100 times when it comes off our own saddle horn when we're using rubber bands, those are clicks off the clock. And so when you think about it, yeah, if you had a better control of your dally, pick that steer up, finish the run strong for your header, and stop the clock maybe 1/10 or 2/10 or 3/10 faster, what would the value of this dally wrap be? You know, that day you were at the short go for a pickup truck or a trailer or a saddle or a buckle and you won, okay, that 1/10 of a second was everything because you were a 1/10 of a second ahead of the next guy and the next guy. And so how do you quantify the value of a dally wrap, even if that only happens to you 2 or 3 times a year because of this wrap? Puts thousands more dollars, maybe a truck, a trailer, a saddle. We've got customers that have won multiple trucks on it. It's one of those things that it just makes you a tougher competitor. And in the rodeo world, the really high-numbered guys that use our products, they might tear them up a lot faster than us average roping guys. But to them, if they go to the rodeo and they shave 1/10 off the clock, and that rodeo is being won by a 5-1 and now they're a 5 flat, versus being a 5-1 or a 5-2 or 5-3, well, that's everything. I mean, they could, honestly, in their mind, a high-level heeler, I would think it almost justify if they wore one out every day. Every day they rope, if they wore one out, it would be worth it to them. They might get their ropes for free, but the safety factor is still going to be there for them. And then keeping the rope up on top of the rubber and shutting that clock off quicker, that's their paycheck day in and day out. And the mid-numbered ropers now, we've got such tough competition. Like I said earlier, we might go to a 500 team, a 1,000 team roping, a 2,500 team roping. And when you're that many teams out there and they do that top 50 cutoff, and you look at the difference between first and 50, and it's a split of 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and then you've got 100 people that are all another 6 or 10 seconds behind that, those 1/10 of a second will mean everything to you. So if you're a heeler trying to make that decision, we've talked about how it's a safer product. We've talked about how it literally will pay for itself in its savings of its ropes, in the ropes alone. And we've talked now about how it's going to obviously help stop the clock quicker, be more competitive in the team roping arena. I hope you jump on our website there at RopeSmart.com, and if you're on our website already watching this video, you click over to the Order Now button and get yourself a few dally wraps. I do encourage you to buy usually 3 if it's your first time out. Get one for each of your saddles you ride. Most guys ride 2 saddles, and keep a spare in your hand. You will wear them out, but when you have worn one out, like I said, you will have paid for itself in the savings on your ropes. If you've got any questions about our dally wrap products, please call us at the office at 210-823-0565. or at 210-823-5386. That's my personal number, and I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. If you come from the older generation of users of our products and it's been a while since you've tried one of our heel wraps, I really encourage you to do so. This thing's going to pop your eyeballs open. We've got guys all the way from the pro level all the way down using them, and it is just amazing how they'll stop a rope, save a rope, and keep you safer. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate your business, and we'll see you down the road.